That feeling, that feeling when you hear like the beginning of a forest
Huh.
or how just like heaven can be like kind of sad, but also happy at the same time. It's like the Cure just gets us.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So we're diving deep into Robert Smith this time around. And this biography you shared, it's like less about the band's story and more like getting inside his head as a songwriter, like a map of his creative, I don't know, DNA or something.
Hmm. I like that.
So, okay, they start up right when punk rock's huge, but they don't really, asterisk become asterisk a punk band. Why not just ride that wave? Everyone else was.
It's almost like they felt something else, a different energy. Not so much the whole outward rebellion thing, more like going inward. Like punk was all about breaking the rules, but Smith was rebelling against that, I think, to find a different way to, I don't know, express those deeper hidden feelings that maybe punk didn't always get to.
And that comes through even on their first record, right? Three Imaginary Boys.
Yeah.
It's raw, but you hear those hints, those like darker thoughts sneaking in.
For sure. You've got the energy of youth in there, but then tracks like Accuracy or Grinding Halt, you can tell something else is brewing. That classic Cure sound is starting to come out.
And then, whoa, 17 seconds in face. Total mood shift, like walking into this like melancholy dream.
Totally. Those albums really like solidified them as the kings of introspection, like a forest, just that bass line, the Smiths vocals, all hushed. It's unsettling, but so beautiful, like being lost in the woods, but your emotions are the path.
I've always loved that title, A Forest. Such a strong image for how our feelings work. So how does Robert Smith go from those moodier sounds to like pure joy sometimes? It's quite a balancing act.
Totally is. And he pulls it off. I mean, think about Pornography, right? It's so raw. Then you've got The Head on the Door, which is more, I don't know, playful. Like he's saying life's not just one thing. It's got all these parts. Light, dark, joy, sadness, the whole deal.
Right.
Like it's two totally different like vibes.
And even with that change, he hits it big, but he doesn't, lose himself. In Between Days, Close to Me, those are catchy songs, but they still have that depth. That Cure sound is still there.
Exactly. And I think that's why people still love The Cure. Smith could have just gone with what was popular then, tried to
Yeah.
make more of those like poppier songs, but he stuck to his own thing, even if it meant going back to those like darker, weirder places.
Which brings us to Disintegration, often called their best work. And it's interesting how it takes those dark, moody elements even further, like almost like an opera or something.
It's true. Disintegration is like this perfect storm of controlled chaos in a way. The music's huge, so many layers, guitars, synths. It's like this wave of, I don't know, longing and sadness, but you can't look away.
Yeah, yeah. The writer called it like a soundtrack to a beautiful apocalypse, which I thought was perfect. You've got pictures of you, love song. They're both like heartbreaking, but then also kind of comforting.
It's that like both at once thing that makes Disintegration so, so powerful. It's
Yeah.
real about the pain, the heartbreak. We all go through that, falling apart a little. But then there's these moments of like hope, like little bits of beauty that make it okay.
And the lyrics, so raw, like he's just put his heart out there.
Yeah.
There's a line in Pictures of You that kills me every time. Remembering you standing quiet in the rain as I ran to your heart to be near. It's so simple, but it's you right here.
That's how his lyrics are a lot of the time. They seem simple, but then you listen again and there's all this other stuff going on underneath. He doesn't like tell you how to feel. He just paints these pictures with his words and you find your own way through them.
It's interesting how he makes you feel so close to him, like you're sharing these really personal feelings, even with all this big epic music happening around it.
That's because he's being real. You can tell he's just being himself even when he's singing about these like huge life and death kind of things. And that's what makes people connect with it, I think. It's real, honest, no BS.
It's like he's saying it's okay to feel everything, right? The good, the bad, the
Yeah.
stuff we don't always want to talk about. And by doing that, it's like he's building this community. Like you're not alone in the dark.
100%. It's that like me too feeling, like, hey, it's all right to not be okay sometimes. And that's huge, especially these days when everyone's trying to act perfect all the time.
Yeah. The book even said listening to The Cure is like a way of life, not just music.
Yeah.
And I get that. Their sound, how they look, even Robert Smith himself, it's like they're from a different world almost.
Totally. A world where like sad can be beautiful, where it's okay to be vulnerable. And that's got to be appealing to people who feel like they don't quite belong, right?
Yeah.
Like those of us who find comfort in the in-between spaces.
It's funny, we always picture genius as like this bright, shiny thing. But
Yeah.
with Smith, with The Cure, it's the darkness that's so captivating. Why do you think that is? What is it about the sad stuff, the melancholy that just hits us so hard?
Maybe it's because that's life, right? It's not all sunshine and rainbows. We all deal with loss, heartbreak, all that. And maybe sometimes those are the feelings we got to really feel to appreciate the good times.
And Robert Smith gives us permission for that, right? To
Mm.
just sit with those emotions without being judged for it. Find
Yeah.
some comfort in knowing other people feel that way too.
Exactly. He's not afraid to be real, to show those parts of himself most people would hide. And when he does that, it lets us do the same.
So after this biography, all this time with The Cure, what's the one thing you hope people take away from this deep dive?
Don't be afraid of the contradictions, the good and the bad, the happy and sad. It's in those messy parts where we figure out who we are, and where we connect with other people on a deeper level.
I love that. And we just scratched the surface here. There's so much music to discover in their album. So to everyone listening, I hope this makes you want to go listen to The Cure, really get lost in those songs. You might find something in there in that world Robert Smith built that really speaks to you.